Hello everybody, my name's Joshua, and this video is going to be pertaining specifically to Christianity and Christians who may be pressing their views on others. Now I'm going to try to do this without being offensive. The reason I'm doing this video is because over many years I've had several discussions with dozens of Christians, as many agnostic, if you will, people have. And they've always resulted in about the same end, which is that if I don't take Jesus as my Savior, then I go to hell. But I have to have faith in order to do this, but you can't just believe in Jesus without faith, and we go on and on and on. In the end, nothing's ever resolved in these discussions, and I think most people who have had similar experiences know exactly what I'm talking about. Yet we continue because we want to try to explain to people why we don't believe particular things. Not to try to prove them wrong or to be better or to voice against God, but rather to try to understand things on a deeper level than has been given to us for so long. Now this video is going to be my referral to people who maybe are Christians who are having conversations. I figured it would be quicker for me to make a video to refer people to than it would be to have these disputes. My issue is not with Christianity. My issue is not with Christians. My issue is not with Christ. And I think that many Christians think that a person who is not a Christian, that they tend to be opposed to Christ or an antichrist. And another problem I've noticed is that many Christians, when I tell them I'm not interested, they will tell me things like, I've been where you're at, and I finally found this answer. And I say, that's great, I'm glad it works for you. But claiming that you've been where somebody else has been is not necessarily true. It's very difficult for people to grasp the idea that many of us are not searching for an end. We're not searching for a solution. We're not trying to find an answer to the big question of life. Many are, but I'm not personally. I'm searching for the details so I can understand the world around me. In other words, I'm not looking for these answers to who God is or why we're here any more than to understand the basics by looking and observing the world around me. And if a person's using a book to do that as opposed to observing the world, it makes it hard to have a conversation with that person. My issue is often with the church and not the believers. I think that the church has abused its privilege for far too long. So sometimes we'll get into a discussion where a Christian will say, well, I don't support the church. It's not about the church. It's about Jesus. And I will say, well, if it's about Jesus, it has to be about the Bible, because the two have to go hand in hand. And people might say, well, no, it's just faith in Jesus. But the only reason a person has faith in Jesus is because they found him through either man who told him about him or through the Bible. And so if we're going to take the Bible literally, we have to include slavery and oppression of women, abusing your children, things like that, which many Christians don't want to discuss. My issues, you can go on for days arguing about the good and bad parts of the Bible. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to hope that people can have an understanding that and a respect to realize that a non-Christian is not necessarily looking for salvation from any of man's interesting anthropomorphisms of God. And often the Christians will come off as friends, like they want to help you. They want to see you, go to heaven. And I respect that. But as soon as you tell them that you don't believe and you're not interested, they start playing the hell card and they start arguing. And often these few people who do this are ruining it for, the image for the other Christians who understand, hey, are you a Christian? No, I have a different religion. I'll say, I respect that. And I think that the big argument between Christians and non-Christians comes when the Christians assume that if you don't take their religion, then you have no hope, no salvation. You're going to hell. And that's a difficult thing for people to get past. And there are many paths to God, and finding a tolerance towards others who have a different path just doesn't seem possible with Christians. It is impossible for many Christians to accept another person can find the same God, the same end, through a different path. And the question is always interesting, why they assume that we're looking for a particular path or that we need saving. And I don't need saving, and I'm not looking for a particular path. I'm not looking for an answer to any big question. I just enjoy learning. I'm a philosopher. I have a love of wisdom. So it's not about being unhappy. And I know that spiritual seekers may appear to be ooh, 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 but it's because of the excitement. It's not because we're grasping. And I've had many Christians tell me that they were on this path and then they found out it was all BS. And like one guy said earlier, it makes the Bible is very simple. It makes it all easy. Like life's not supposed to be simple. But they always claim to have been there and been in your situation, which nobody's been in my situation. And that point's really not worth arguing or debating. But often Christians will tell us that we're brainwashed. And I find that to be very interesting, because brainwashing often means that there's a particular focus or thing a person's brainwashing a person to believe. And those of us who don't buy into everything, who just look at everything, analyze it, it's almost like people don't understand how a person can actually live a happy life, a fulfilled, content life, without being a Christian. But it's possible. I do it. I wrote down this quote. Can't remember who read it. I forgot to write down the author, but he said, "Religion always seemed too personal for me to take advice from those I don't know." And that is it in a nutshell. And I'm going to use this video, I guess, as a reference for people if they care to watch it, because I don't want to get into any more disputes about Jesus or about religion. I have no interest in seeking out religious videos or making my comments. I do not go to Christian channels and say, "You're wrong, I've found better answers," because I feel like when a person spends too much time opposing other things, all they're doing is reinforcing the idea that they may not be completely solid in their own convictions. Not always true. There are those out there who just want to help people and really want to see everybody go to heaven. But you know, honestly, the card, when the heaven card's played, that they want to see you helped, that they want to help you. You know, they don't want to see their fellow man burned. Or it makes me think that's great. I'm glad that people care about one another. But the minute you mention that you're not interested, all of a sudden you become a bad guy. You become an antichrist. You become part of the problem. You're the fool who is, you know, going down all these bad roads of spirituality, and oh, you shouldn't be reading this, you shouldn't be learning that. How dare you seek knowledge and wisdom? So I decided, you know, when I have a small discussion with a Christian for a minute, it might just be like a quick one-liner, but we end up getting into a long conversation and nothing's ever resolved. There's no point to it other than me saying this is why I don't believe, and the other person telling me this is why I should believe. So those are my thoughts on that, and hopefully this video will save me a little bit of time in the long run of having to explain myself, because I'm a good-hearted person. I love the world, I love people, I love nature, and I like helping others, and I like seeing people happy. And I'll be honest, it's hurtful when people say that all of that is useless unless you believe one particular thing that they believe. It's saddening. The reason why, before I did this video, I was looking up, I came across this page. Somebody was saying, he asked a bunch of non-believers to send him emails about their experiences with people trying to push Christianity on them. And he said he got like 300 or so emails, and he said when he read through it, it was one of the most depressing things he'd ever done. And he said he expected the letters to be hostile and hateful towards the Christians. But in fact, the root of it was that people were basically saying, why do Christians hate us so much? And I think that's very revealing. So to the Christians out there, when you claim that you're trying to help others, that you love people, the way that people are perceiving this is that you hate us because we're not Christians. And I hope we can get past that one day. Find a solution to this issue. Namaste, everybody.